So today we'll try to understand what is the projectile motion. You must have seen there are many instances when we throw a ball, it follows a particular type of trajectory that looks like something like that. That type of trajectory or motion that moves under a single constant force that we called as the projectile motion. So any motion that moves under a influence of a single constant force we called as the projectile motion. You have also seen that a human cannon where a person comes out from a cannon and it reaches to a certain point and we keep some safety net over there so to protect him. How do we know where exactly he is going to fall? How to know what is the velocity by which it is to be thrown? So all those calculations we can do in case of in projectile motion. So let's try to derive some of the formula for projectile motion, and that derivation will help you to solve a lot of problem related to the projectile motion. So number one, let's try to understand what is the projectile motion. So let's say we have thrown an object with a velocity v and this will follow a trajectory like this. So in case of projectile motion, first of all, I'll find velocity's x component in this direction. So this will become as, let's say this velocity is u. So u cos theta. And this velocity's y component will look like as u sin theta. Okay. Now if you see this motion carefully, this x component of the velocity will not change if I am doing the same experiment in gravity. So x component will always be u cos theta. Why is it not getting changed? Because there is no acceleration or no other force acting in x direction. So you can see that u cos theta will remain same. At maximum height also it will be u cos theta, and every single point it will be u cos theta only. What will happen to the y component of the velocity? Since the gravity is acting downwards, so till it reaches to the maximum height, its velocity is going to decrease and then velocity will further increase. So u sin theta will decrease to some other value and then it will further decrease, and at the maximum height the velocity will become 0. So this point, when its velocity becomes 0, this we called as the h max. That means maximum height achieved by a particle, and then further its velocity will start increasing, and at the final most point it will have a same velocity by which we have thrown it, which is u sin theta. Whatever be the displacement cover in the horizontal direction, that we called as the range. So this particular thing we called as the range. To solve all the problem related to finding the maximum height, what is the range, time of flight, we have to break this motion into x and y direction separately, and we need to apply equations of motion separately for x direction and for the y direction. So let's say in x direction, if I write what is the initial velocity, so you can write as u cos theta. What is the initial velocity in y direction? So that can be written as u sin theta. What is the final velocity in x direction? It will always be u cos theta, and this will become u sin theta minus g into t. V is equal to u plus at. So u sin theta minus gt. What is the acceleration in x direction? So it's 0, and this is acting minus g since the object going up initially and gravity is acting downwards. That is why I can write g is acting downwards. Let's try to derive some of the quantities for projectile motion. So number one thing that we are going to derive is the maximum height. That what is the maximum height reached by this object. So to calculate maximum height, I am going to use v square is equal to u square plus 2gh. So final velocity in y direction, vy square is equal to initial velocity in y direction, uy square plus 2 times g times s. So at the point of h max, this final velocity will become 0. So I can write this as 0. Initial velocity in y direction is u sin theta whole square and that since it is going up and gravity is acting downwards, so 2g times h max I can write. I will try to make h max as a subject, so to calculate it, so 2g times h max will become u square sine square theta. So the value of h max or the maximum height comes out to be u square sine square theta divided by 2g. A very important formula to calculate maximum height. No need to remember these formula. You can simply derive it in 1 or 2 lines if you know the concept really well. The next thing that we will try to understand or derive, that we call as the time of flight. What is the meaning of time of flight? Time of flight means that how much time that object is in air. So what is the total time when it start to the end time? So to calculate time of flight, first I will find the t half, basically how much time it takes to reach the half of the journey, and then I will double that value so to calculate the total time of flight. So I'll use my equation Vy is equal to uy plus a into t. V is equal to u plus at. So what is Vy at the highest point? So that is 0. Uy is basically u sine theta. Since gravity is acting downward, so I can take minus g, and time I will take as t. Okay. So this value of t comes out to be u sine theta divided by g. U sine theta divided by g. And I know this is half time of flight. So total time of flight can be written as 2 times t, that is equal to capital T, and this will become 2u sine theta divided by g. That is how I can calculate my total time of flight and h max. So now we will try to see how to find range of the projectile. Since we have already found how to find the maximum height of a projectile and how to find the time of flight of the projectile. So to find range of a projectile, range is something related to horizontal displacement. So horizontal displacement we called as r. So this we need to think about what equation of motion we can apply so to get the range. So I will try to use this equation. Sx is equal to ux into t plus half acceleration x, that means acceleration in x direction, times t square. So to get the range of the function. Now r, sx can be replaced by r, ux can be replaced by basically u cos theta, because the horizontal component of velocity is u cos theta. Time of flight, this t will be time of flight since I have to find the total range, and that can be written as 2u sine theta divided by g. There is no acceleration in x direction, so there will not be any term after it. So range comes out to be 2u square cos theta multiplied by sine theta divided by g. That is how we can find the range of the projectile. So basically we know how to find now maximum height, we know how to find the range, and we also know how to find the total time of flight of the journey. These formula of course you can use as a reference, but also in problem solving it is not difficult to derive the formula, or any problem comes we can twist the formula accordingly and get the answer correct.